Alright, let me paint the picture for you. I'm nestled in the heart of a bustling city, tapping away on keyboards, solving tech puzzles, day in and day out. Name's Lily, by the way. 32 and deep in the trenches of singlehood. Not for lack of trying, mind you. I've danced the dating dance more times than I care to admit, each time hoping the music doesn't stop on yet another dud. Dreams of family life and kids? Yeah, got those in spades. Reality? More like a deck stacked with jokers. So, there I was, ranting to my best bud, Jess, over coffee about my latest crash and burn. I'm done, Jess. Maybe I'm meant to be the cool aunt forever, not mom material. Jess, ever the optimist, shot me that I've got the solution look. Why don't you try online dating? Worked for me and Mark, she suggested, sipping her latte like she just dropped the mic. I scoffed. Online dating? That's like dumpster diving for love. But Jess, bless her stubborn heart, wasn't having any of it. Not all dumpsters, Lily. You just gotta find the right one. Give it a shot. Peer pressure's a thing, folks. So, I caved, setting up a profile on one of those dating sites, fully expecting a circus of clowns. At first, it was exactly that. Messages flooded in, each one making me more cynical than the last. Hey, beautiful, wanna see my comic book collection? Or, do you believe in love at first swipe? Just as I was about to chuck my laptop out the window, a message popped up. Not the usual drivel. This one was different. Saw you're into tech. Ever debate the merits of Python over Java over a cup of coffee? Now, that caught my attention. A guy speaking my language. I bit, replying with, only if you're ready to admit Python's superiority in certain applications. Meet Alex. Sales manager by day, charming nerd by, also day. He worked for his mom's company, something that usually would have had me running for the hills, but there was something about him. Easygoing, sociable, and didn't live in his mom's basement, a rarity in my dating history. We met up, and the connection was instant. Coffee turned into dinner, dinner into late-night walks, and before I knew it, 6 months had flown by. Then, out of the blue, he popped the question. Not over a grand gesture, but quietly, sincerely, during one of our night walks. Lily, I can't imagine my life without you. Marry me? I was stunned, elated, and a million other emotions. But mostly, I was happy. Genuinely, deeply happy. Yes, I whispered, and the city lights seemed to dance just for us that night. So, here I am, engaged to a guy I met on the very platform I mocked, ready to start that dream family. Meeting Alex's mom, Eleanor, felt like being called into the principal's office long after you've graduated. You know you haven't done anything wrong, but the nerves kick in anyway. So there I was, standing on her doorstep, practicing my most charming smile while internally preparing for a siege. Alex squeezed my hand, mistaking my battle readiness for jitters. She's gonna love you, he whispered, but his voice lacked the conviction of a man betting on a sure thing. The door swung open, and there she stood, Eleanor. Not a dragon per se, but she had that look. You know the one, like she could read your life story at a glance and find it lacking. Lily, this is my mom. Mom, Lily. Alex did the intros like he was presenting his science project. Eleanor's eyes narrowed, taking me in. Lily. So, you're the one who's captured my son's heart. Her tone made it sound like I'd done it with dark magic. Pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Hamilton. Alex speaks very highly of you. She waved off the formalities. Please, call me Eleanor. Let's not stand on ceremony. Her living room was like stepping into a magazine. Not a speck of dust or a pillow out of place. We sat, and the interrogation began. I hear you're in IT. That's a demanding field, she started, casual as if commenting on the weather. Yes, it is. But it's rewarding. I love the challenges, I said, trying to sound confident and not like I was defending my life choices. And how do you find the work-life balance? Alex tells me you're quite ambitious. Was that a hint of disapproval? I manage. We both do. It's about priorities, right? She hummed non-committally, sipping her tea like a queen, pondering her next move. Alex has always had a varied taste in women. What makes you different? Ouch. That was a jab. I glanced at Alex, hoping for a lifeline, but he was busy examining his tea as if it held the secrets of the universe. I'm not sure I have to be different. I shot back, a little more defensively than intended. I care about Alex. That should count for something. Eleanor leaned in, eyes sharp. Of course, dear. But you must understand, as his mother, it's my job to be cautious. Many have tried to, let's say, take advantage of our family's position. I wasn't sure whether to be offended or amused. With all due respect, Eleanor, I'm not interested in your family's position. I have my own career, my own goals. Alex is not a means to an end for me. There was a brief flicker of something in her eyes, respect, maybe? Or surprise? Hard to tell. Very well, Lily. We shall see. Time does have a way of revealing true intentions, she said, her voice soft, but carrying a weight that felt like a veiled threat. Alex finally found his voice as dessert was served. Mom, Lily's amazing. You'll see. We're good for each other. Eleanor smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. I certainly hope so, Alex. For your sake. The rest of the visit passed in a blur of polite conversation and thinly veiled barbs from Eleanor. As we left, Alex was apologetic, whispering assurances that it went better than expected. Better than expected? I couldn't help but laugh, albeit bitterly. Your mom's got a sharp tongue. I felt like I was on trial. Alex winced. She's protective, that's all. Give her time. She'll come around. I nodded, though doubts swirled like storm clouds. Meeting Eleanor was like venturing into a lion's den, armed with nothing but good intentions and a stubborn streak. After tying the knot, Alex and I settled into my apartment, transforming it from mine to ours with every shared laugh, argument, and makeup kiss. Life was good, or at least as good as it gets when you're navigating the newlywed phase alongside dodging the occasional curveball from family. Speaking of family, Eleanor, Alex's mom, threw us a fastball that could knock anyone off their feet. It happened during one of those obligatory family dinners at her place, which was more like a museum than a home. Every fork and knife had to be perfectly aligned, a metaphor for how Eleanor viewed life, I guess. Halfway through dinner, with a smile that was too tight to be genuine, she dropped her bomb. I've been thinking, she began, casting a glance between Alex and me. This apartment living is beneath you, Alex. And Lily, dear, you too, of course. Why don't you move into the mansion with me? There's more than enough room, and it would be beneficial for all of us. I almost choked on my wine. Alex, always the diplomat, responded before I could recover. Mom, that's really generous, but Lily and I are happy in our apartment. It's our space, and we're enjoying making it our own. Eleanor's smile faltered, but she quickly masked it with a sip of her wine. Oh, but think of the advantages. Besides, it would give us a chance to become closer, don't you think? The idea of being closer to Eleanor sent a shiver down my spine. Before I could formulate a polite but firm refusal, Alex squeezed my hand under the table, a silent plea for patience. We really appreciate the offer, Mom, but we've made our decision. We're staying put, he said with finality. Eleanor's eyes narrowed, and I knew this was far from over. But for the moment, she dropped the subject, moving on to less contentious topics like the weather and her garden club's latest drama. A few weeks after that dinner, Eleanor announced she was coming to see our apartment for the first time. Just a friendly visit, she claimed. Friendly my foot. I knew a reconnaissance mission when I saw one. The day arrived, and so did Eleanor, her entrance grandiose as if she were gracing a royal court instead of our humble abode. She greeted us with air kisses, then proceeded to inspect our apartment with the scrutiny of a drill sergeant. "This is it, then," she said, her voice laden with a mix of disappointment and disbelief as she glanced around our living room. "It's quite compact, isn't it?" Alex started to respond, but I cut in, my patience already thinning. "It's cozy, Eleanor. And we love it," she hummed, making her way through our space as if every step pained her. "And this decor, eclectic, isn't it? A bold choice." I clenched my fists, feeling the anger bubble up. "It's our home, Eleanor. We've put a lot of ourselves into it." Then came the coup de grace. As she peered into our kitchen, her nose wrinkled. "And cleanliness? Is that not a priority for young couples nowadays? Or is this some trend I'm unaware of?" That was the last straw. "Listen, Eleanor," I said, my voice steady but seething. "This trend you're talking about is called living. We might not have a mansion with staff to keep it spotless, but we keep our home clean and welcoming. That's more than enough for us. If you can't respect that, then maybe you should leave." The room went silent. Eleanor looked at Alex, then at me, and for a moment, I thought she might apologize. Instead, she straightened her jacket, her demeanor icy. "Very well. I can see when I'm not wanted. Enjoy your home." With that, she left, her departure leaving a chill in her wake. 2 years into our marriage, and it felt like Alex and I were finally hitting our stride. He was the yin to my yang, helping out around the apartment without me having to nag, always ready with a hug or a kind word. But then, things started to shift, and not for the better. I'd been broaching the topic of kids more and more. I was 34, and that biological clock wasn't just ticking, it was booming like a gong. One evening, I decided to tackle it head-on. "Alex, we need to talk about starting a family." "I'm not getting any younger," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. He sighed, the kind of sigh that said he'd rather be anywhere but here. "Lily, we've been over this. It's too early to think about kids. We've got time." Time. That word echoed in my head. Did we really? "Alex, I'm 34. In a few years, it might be too late. Don't you want kids?" He avoided my gaze, focusing instead on some invisible spot on the table. "Of course, I do. Just, not now. Work's been hectic." Hectic was an understatement. Lately, he'd been coming home late, if at all, claiming work was piling up. Weekends were no different, with him often dashing off after mysterious phone calls. One day, curiosity got the better of me. "What's with all the secrecy? Who keeps calling?" He looked cornered, then spilled it. "It's my mom. She's been really ill, having seizures. I've been helping out." I was taken aback. Despite our rocky history, I felt a pang of concern. "I'm sorry to hear that. Maybe I can help? It could be a chance for us to patch things up." His reaction wasn't what I expected. He got defensive, almost angry. "No, she doesn't want to see you. Doesn't want your help." That stung. But it also made me suspicious. Why would he be so hostile about me offering help? After he left, supposedly to aid his ailing mother, I wrestled with whether to call Eleanor directly. My hand hovered over the phone for what felt like hours. In the end, fear of worsening her condition kept me from dialing. Alex's absences grew longer, his contributions to our joint accounts dwindled, leaving me to pick up the slack. Bills, groceries, you name it, I was covering it. And with each passing day, the man I married seemed to slip further away. "Lily, I know things have been tough. I appreciate you handling everything," he said one night, looking worn and tired. "Tough doesn't begin to cover it, Alex. I feel like I'm living with a stranger." "And your mom? Are you sure there's nothing I can do?" He just shook his head, a barrier rising between us. "It's better this way. Trust me." Trust. A small word, but damn, it weighed a ton. And right then, I wasn't sure I could. The change in Alex was like a slow leak in a tire, gradual but undeniable. Nights spent alone in our bed became the norm, his side growing colder with each passing day. The sound of his voice was replaced by murmurs into his phone, always stepping out of the room, always whispering. "It's Mom," he'd say. "She needs me." But the gaps in our bank account told a different story. Suddenly, I'm playing the role of the breadwinner, juggling bills and groceries, watching my savings dwindle like ice in the sun. Over coffee, I vented to Jess, my go-to for unfiltered advice. "He's hardly home, Jess. And when he is, it's like he's a million miles away. Plus, our finances are a mess." Jess raised an eyebrow, her skepticism palpable. "Girl, this sounds shady. Have you thought about digging deeper? Maybe hire a PI?" She half joked, a smirk playing on her lips. I laughed, brushing off the idea. Yet, it lingered, gnawing at the back of my mind, a seed of doubt planted firmly in soil fertile with suspicion. Then, out of nowhere, Eleanor, the last person I expected a call from, reached out, suggesting we meet at a cafe. Curiosity piqued and desperation for answers swirling within me. I agreed. The Eleanor I knew was a fortress, her health the moat keeping us at bay. Yet, here she was, extending an olive branch. What could she possibly want to tell me? The morning air felt heavy as I walked into the cafe, a storm brewing in my heart. Eleanor sat there, looking every bit the picture of health, not the frail image painted by Alex's stories. As I sat down, her eyes locked onto mine, a sternness in them that immediately set me on edge. "Why are you stopping Alex from seeing me, his own mother?" she demanded right off the bat. I blinked, taken aback. "What? That's not true. Alex told me he's been with you almost every day, taking care of you because you're sick." The color drained from her face, then came back in a flush of anger. "Call him, Lily. Let's hear what he says about his whereabouts right now." My hand shook as I dialed Alex's number, my heart thumping loud in my chest. "Alex, where are you right now?" I asked, trying to mask the tremor in my voice. "I'm on my way to the hospital with Mom. She's had another episode," he replied, his tone hurried and anxious. The words hung in the air, a lie so blatant it stung. I ended the call, turning to face Eleanor, who offered a sad smile and placed a gentle hand on my arm. "Tell me everything, Lily," she urged softly. So, I spilled it all, the months of lies, the nights alone, the drained bank account. Each word felt like a betrayal, not just from Alex, but from the life I thought we were building together. Eleanor listened, her face a mask of sadness. "He told me you didn't want to see me, that you were too busy with clinic visits, because you couldn't conceive." I stared at her, disbelief and anger swirling inside me. "That's a lie. All of it. What's really going on, Eleanor?" She sighed, a sound heavy with disappointment. "Alex has always been restless. Always looking for something more. I threatened to cut him off unless he settled down, found a good woman, and started a family. I thought he'd changed when he brought you into our lives." The revelation hit me hard. All this time, our marriage, our plans for the future, it was just a performance for Alex. A way to keep his lifestyle without losing his inheritance. Eleanor's next words were a mix of anger and regret. "He's been seeing other women, Lily." I didn't want to believe it, but it's true. The cafe around us faded into a blur as her words sank in. Betrayal, deeper than I'd ever known, coursed through me. The man I loved, the life I'd envisioned, it was all built on lies. "What do we do now?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "We confront him, together. He needs to face the consequences of his actions," Eleanor said firmly, her resolve clear. "How about we really see what he's been up to? Maybe hire someone to dig a little deeper?" I was hesitant at first, but the anger bubbling inside me overrode any doubts. "Let's do it," I agreed, feeling a mix of excitement and fear at the prospect of facing the ugly truth head-on. The detective we hired was a pro, unearthing details about Alex that made my skin crawl. He had been leading a lavish lifestyle on our dime, wining and dining various women, all while spinning US tales of family duty and illness. But the real kicker came when we got audio of Alex with one of his girlfriends, mocking Eleanor and me for believing his lies. "They're just a couple of naive bugs, easily fooled," he laughed on the tape. That was the last straw. Eleanor and I, now united in our quest for justice, decided it was time for a confrontation. Armed with the evidence, we ambushed him at a bar downtown, where he was supposed to meet his latest fling. The look on his face when he saw us together was worth every penny we'd paid the detective. Eleanor was the first to let loose, her voice rising above the music and chatter. "You're a disgrace, Alex. I never thought I'd see the day my own son would sink this low. Cheating, lying, and stealing from your own family." Her words were like bullets, and with each one, Alex seemed to shrink a little more. The crowd in the bar had gone silent, all eyes on us. I stepped forward, my heart pounding in my chest. "And you," I said, facing Alex with all the fury I felt. "You're going to pay for what you've done. Not just to me, but to your mother, to our marriage. I've got the divorce papers right here." I slapped them down on the table in front of him, along with the storage unit receipt. "Everything you own is in a box to the left, buddy. Consider yourself served." Alex was speechless, his face pale, eyes darting between me and his mother. I can explain," he stammered, but Eleanor cut him off. "Save it. You're cut off, Alex. No more money, no support. You've made your bed, now lie in it." Her voice was ice cold, the final nail in the coffin of their relationship. As we left the bar, the music started up again, but the night had lost its buzz for me. What mattered was the sense of closure, however bitter it tasted. Eleanor and I walked out together, not as enemies, but as allies, bonded by our shared betrayal. "We'll get through this," she said, squeezing my hand. "Yeah," I replied, looking back one last time at the man I once loved, now a stranger. "We will." After the whole mess unraveled and the truth came out about Alex, things moved pretty fast. He ended up having to pay up for his lies, a kind of compensation for the heartache and chaos he caused. The divorce papers were signed, no looking back. And Eleanor, well, she cut him off completely, sticking to her word. It was a tough outcome for him, but he made his bed. Now, life's taken a turn I didn't see coming. Eleanor and we've sort of bonded through this storm. Funny how life throws you together with the most unexpected people. And here's the kicker, I'm expecting a baby. Yeah, amidst the chaos, a new life started growing, and Eleanor's over the moon about her upcoming grandchild. Just the other day, we were sitting in her living room, the one that used to intimidate me, planning for the baby's arrival. "You know, Lily," Eleanor said, her voice softer than I'd ever heard. "This baby, he's going to have the best of everything. We'll make sure of it." I couldn't help but smile, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. "I can't believe I'm doing this. A baby, Eleanor. It's going to be a whole new adventure." Eleanor chuckled, that tough exterior melting away. "You're stronger than you think, Lily. And you're not alone. We're in this together." It's strange how things turn out. The person I once thought of as an adversary is now one of my biggest supporters. Life's full of surprises like that. As for Alex, well, he's out of the picture, facing the consequences of his actions. I've moved on, focusing on the future, a future that's looking brighter every day, especially with a little one on the way. Eleanor's already spoiling him rotten, buying baby clothes, toys, and planning the nursery. "He's going to be a fighter, just like his mom," she says, and I believe her. So, here I am, embarking on a new chapter. It's scary, sure, but I've got Eleanor by my side, and a little boy on the way who's going to know all about love, strength, and resilience. We talked about the future, about moving forward. Eleanor was keen on supporting a charity project for women who had gone through similar betrayals. "I want to do something meaningful," she said. Help others rebuild, just like we're doing. I love that idea, I replied, feeling a spark of excitement for the first time in months. Count me in. It's time to turn this mess into a message.